Why Amber Portwood's daughter Leah decided not to have a relationship with her. The relationship between a mother and daughter is often seen as one of the most sacred and unbreakable bonds. However, in some cases, due to life choices, emotional distance, or personal struggles, that bond can become strained to the point of severance. Such is the case with Amber Portwood and her daughter, Leah Messenger. Amber Portwood first rose to fame on the MTV reality show 16 and Pregnant, which followed her journey as a teenage mother navigating the complexities of early parenthood. The show later transitioned into Teen Mom, where audiences watched her struggle through a tumultuous life marked by legal troubles, substance abuse, broken relationships, and periods of incarceration. While many viewers tuned in for the drama, others were captivated by the real-life challenges faced by young mothers like Amber. Leah Messenger, now an adult, has made the difficult decision not to maintain a relationship with her mother. This choice has sparked widespread discussion and speculation among fans of the show, media outlets, and those familiar with the realities of fractured family dynamics. But what exactly led Leah to make this decision? What factors contributed to the breakdown of their relationship? And what does this say about the long-term effects of growing up under the public eye? From the moment Leah was born, she was thrust into a world of cameras, paparazzi, and public scrutiny. Unlike many children born into celebrity families, Leah didn't have the luxury of privacy. Every milestone, tantrum, and emotional outburst was documented and broadcast to millions. For Amber, who was only 17 when Leah was born, the pressures of fame compounded the already challenging experience of being a teen mom. While Amber tried to balance her newfound stardom with motherhood, it became increasingly clear that her own instability emotionally, mentally, and legally would have lasting consequences for her daughter. Over the years, Amber faced multiple arrests, including charges related to domestic violence, probation violations, and drug possession. These incidents were not just headlines, they were moments that shaped Leah's understanding of trust, safety, and family. As Leah grew older, the constant upheaval in her home life likely created a sense of unpredictability and insecurity. Children raised in unstable environments often develop coping mechanisms that affect how they view relationships later in life. In Leah's case, these experiences may have played a significant role in her decision to distance herself from her mother. One of the most defining aspects of Amber's life has been her repeated run-ins with the law. In 2012, she was arrested for domestic battery after an altercation with her then-fiancé, Gary Shirley. The incident was particularly shocking because it occurred in front of Leah, who was only 9 years old at the time. Footage of the confrontation aired on Teen Mom, and the fallout was immediate and severe. Amber was sentenced to 5 years in prison, with the first 2 years served behind bars and the remaining 3 on probation. During her incarceration, Leah lived with Gary and his family, marking a major shift in her upbringing. Being separated from her mother during such a formative period could have had a profound psychological impact on Leah, especially considering the traumatic nature of the event that led to the separation. Even after Amber's release from prison, the damage had already been done. Leah had grown accustomed to living with a stable, albeit new, family structure. Reconnecting with a mother who had caused trauma and instability might have felt more harmful than healing. The emotional scars left by witnessing domestic violence at such a young age can be deep and long-lasting. Psychologists often note that children exposed to domestic violence are more likely to struggle with trust, anxiety, depression, and attachment issues. For Leah, the idea of rebuilding a relationship with someone who once frightened her might feel impossible or even dangerous. Another factor that may have influenced Leah's decision is the constant media attention surrounding her mother. Growing up in the spotlight meant that every mistake Amber made was magnified and replayed across social media, news outlets, and fan forums. Leah, as her daughter, inevitably bore some of that shame and judgment. Imagine being a teenager trying to fit in at school, while knowing your mother is infamous for her erratic behavior, legal troubles, and emotional outbursts. It's easy to see how Leah might have wanted to separate herself from that identity, to create a life free from the shadow of her mother's past. In interviews, Leah has expressed a desire for normalcy. She has spoken about wanting to live a quiet life away from cameras and controversy. That desire may have directly influenced her decision to cut ties with Amber. If maintaining a relationship with her mother meant constantly dealing with media scrutiny, legal drama, or emotional volatility, Leah may have concluded that it wasn't worth the toll it would take on her mental health. A key element in any healthy parent-child relationship is consistency. Children need to know that they can rely on their parents to be emotionally available, physically present, and supportive. Unfortunately, Amber struggled to provide that kind of stability throughout Leah's childhood. Between her legal issues, substance abuse problems, and tumultuous romantic relationships, Amber was often absent both literally and figuratively from Leah's life. Even when she wasn't in jail, there were reports of Amber prioritizing her own needs over her daughter's well-being. Whether it was through neglect, emotional unavailability, or poor decision-making, the message Leah may have internalized was that she couldn't count on her mother. This lack of consistent care can lead to feelings of abandonment, resentment, and mistrust. For Leah, the decision to walk away from her mother might not have been impulsive. It could have been the result of years of disappointment and unmet expectations. Now in her late teens and early 20s, Leah is at a stage in life where she's forging her own identity. She has spoken publicly about her love for horses, her passion for animals, and her desire to live a life far removed from the chaos of her upbringing. By choosing not to have a relationship with Amber, Leah is exercising her autonomy and taking control of her narrative. It's important to recognize that Leah's decision isn't necessarily about hatred or revenge, it's about self-preservation. Healing from trauma, especially the kind rooted in family dysfunction, often requires setting boundaries. For some people, that means limiting contact. For others, it means cutting ties completely. Leah has never publicly criticized her mother, nor has she gone into detail about the specific reasons behind her decision. Instead, she is focused on moving forward and building a life based on peace, stability, and personal growth. In doing so, she serves as a reminder that estrangement is sometimes necessary for healing. There are also concerns about whether Amber engaged in patterns of coercive control or emotional manipulation toward Leah. Some fans and commentators have speculated that Amber's behavior may have been overly possessive, manipulative, or even toxic at times. Reports of Amber trying to dictate Leah's relationships, friendships, or lifestyle choices could have contributed to Leah's desire for independence. Emotional manipulation in parenting can be subtle but incredibly damaging. Tactics like guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or conditional love can erode a child's sense of self-worth and autonomy. If Leah experienced any of these behaviors from her mother, it would make sense that she would want to distance herself to protect her mental health. Leah's situation highlights a broader conversation about estrangement in modern families. More and more adults are making the difficult choice to cut off contact with parents who have caused them harm, whether through abuse, neglect, addiction, or other forms of dysfunction. While society often stigmatizes estrangement as selfish or unforgiving, experts argue that it can be a necessary step toward healing. Estrangement doesn't always mean permanent disconnection. Some individuals choose to reestablish relationships later in life, while others find peace in maintaining their distance. What matters most is that the individual feels safe and supported in their decision. For Leah, choosing not to have a relationship with her mother is a deeply personal choice, one that deserves respect rather than judgment. Her story reminds us that family dynamics are complex and that healing takes many forms. Of course, Amber has her own side of the story. In various interviews and social media posts, she has expressed heartbreak over her estranged relationship with Leah. She has admitted to making mistakes and acknowledged the pain she has caused her daughter. Amber has also hinted at wanting to reconnect, though she respects Leah's boundaries. Amber's journey has been filled with highs and lows. From the height of her fame to the depths of her legal battles, she has faced intense public scrutiny. Now, as she tries to rebuild her life and career, The absence of her daughter is undoubtedly a source of grief. However, Amber's desire to reconcile cannot override Leah's right to set boundaries. Healing must come from both sides, and if Leah isn't ready or ever willing to rebuild that connection, it's not something that can be forced. Leah's story offers several important lessons for families dealing with similar issues. 1. Trauma has long-term effects. Childhood experiences shape how we view ourselves and our relationships. Recognizing and addressing trauma is essential for healing. 2. Boundaries are healthy. Setting limits on relationships is not inherently negative, it's a way of protecting one's well-being. 3. Estrangement is not failure. Choosing to distance oneself from a harmful relationship is an act of courage, not weakness. 4. Healing looks different for everyone. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to recovering from family dysfunction. Each person must find what works best for them. 5. Public figures are still human. Just because someone is famous doesn't mean their family life is immune to pain or conflict. Compassion should extend to all, regardless of status. Ultimately, Leah Messenger's decision not to have a relationship with Amber Portwood is a deeply personal one rooted in years of emotional complexity, trauma, and boundary setting. While outsiders may speculate or judge, only Leah knows what is truly best for her mental and emotional health. Her story is a powerful reminder that family relationships aren't always defined by blood, they're defined by love, trust, and mutual respect. When those elements are missing, sometimes the healthiest choice is to walk away. As Leah continues to build her life on her own terms, she serves as an inspiration to others facing similar situations. Her strength lies not in what she endured, but in the choices she's made to prioritize her peace. Teen mom to alum Janelle Evans tells Virtual Reality about her messy divorce, applying for Love Island and more. In a revealing interview with Virtual Reality, teen mom to alum Janelle Evans opened up about the emotional roller coaster that has been her life over the past few years. Known for her no-holds-barred personality and raw honesty, Janelle didn't shy away from discussing everything from her messy divorce to her aspirations of joining the hit reality show Love Island. With candor and vulnerability, she gave fans an unfiltered look into her world, both the highs and the lows. Janelle's most recent marriage was to David Eason, a man who became a central figure in her life, and on her short-lived MTV series Janelle Evans, No Filter. While their relationship started with what appeared to be love and mutual support, things quickly unraveled behind closed doors. In her interview with Virtual Reality, Janelle didn't sugarcoat the pain or frustration she felt during the final days of their union. It wasn't easy, Janelle admitted. We had our good times, but we also had some really rough patches. I think a lot of it came down to us being two people who are trying to heal ourselves while also trying to make someone else happy. That's a tough balance. She revealed that communication issues and trust problems plagued their relationship from the start. Although they tried counseling, she said the cracks ran too deep. We both wanted it to work, but sometimes wanting something isn't enough. We grew apart, and there was a point where I realized that staying together was just hurting us more than helping. The split was far from amicable. Legal battles, custody disputes, and public accusations filled headlines and social media feeds. Janelle, known for speaking her mind, found herself at the center of controversy as details of their crumbling marriage played out in front of millions. I know people have opinions about me, and I get it. But not everyone knows what it's like to be in that position, to feel trapped, judged, and alone all at once, she said. Despite the messiness, Janelle insisted she doesn't regret any part of the experience. I learned so much about myself through that relationship. It showed me what I will and won't tolerate. And most importantly, it taught me how to put myself first. Since the split, Janelle has been focused on rebuilding her life, not just for herself, but for her children. She spoke candidly about the toll the divorce took on her mental health and how she's working to stay grounded amidst the chaos. I've been doing therapy again, which has helped a lot, she shared. It's hard to confront your own flaws and realize how your actions affect others, especially your kids. but I'm committed to growing and changing for the better. Her journey hasn't been without setbacks. Janelle has faced legal troubles, personal losses, and constant media scrutiny. Yet, she remains determined to rise above the noise. I don't let other people's opinions define my worth anymore. I used to care way too much about what everyone thought. Now, I focus on my family, my peace, and my future. She also credited her faith in God as a source of strength. I pray every day, not because I think I deserve forgiveness, but because I believe in redemption. I want to be someone my kids can be proud of. While many might expect someone in Janelle's position to take a step back from the spotlight, she's doing quite the opposite. In fact, she recently applied to join Love Island USA, a move that surprised even her closest followers. I thought long and hard about it, she said. I know people might think I'm doing it for attention or drama, but honestly, it's more about showing a different side of me. I want people to see that I've grown, that I'm capable of being vulnerable, and that I'm still capable of falling in love. Janelle acknowledged that entering a dating show comes with its own set of challenges, especially given her history. I know my past is always going to follow me, but I'm not ashamed of it. If anything, it makes me stronger. I've made mistakes, yes, but I've learned from them. She also addressed concerns about how her kids might feel if she were to join the show. I've talked to them about it. They know that mom is allowed to be happy too. I'm not hiding anything from them. I want them to see that love doesn't stop after one heartbreak. Although she hasn't received a formal offer yet, Janelle remains hopeful. If I get in, great. If not, I'll keep moving forward. Either way, I'm putting myself out there, and that's more than I could say a year ago. Though Teen Mom 2 catapulted Janelle into stardom, she admits she's ready for a new chapter, one that doesn't necessarily revolve around cameras or contracts. I love being on Teen Mom 2 because it gave me a platform to speak out about teen pregnancy and motherhood, she said. But I don't need reality TV to validate my life anymore. I want to build something real, something lasting. She hinted at potential business ventures, including launching her own line of self-help products or motivational content. I want to help women who are in similar situations, whether it's dealing with divorce, single parenthood, or mental health struggles. I've been there, and I want to be a voice of encouragement. Janelle also expressed interest in writing a book. There's so much I haven't shared yet. My story is far from over, but I think there's power in telling it honestly and authentically. Above all else, Janelle considers being a mom to be her proudest accomplishment. She has 2 sons, Jace and Kaiser, and she beams when talking about them. They're everything to me, she said. Sometimes I forget how young I was when I had Jace. Looking back, I had no idea what I was doing, but somehow, we made it through. She admitted that parenting hasn't always been easy, especially with the added pressure of raising kids under public scrutiny. People think they know what's best for your child, but at the end of the day, only you know what's right for your family. Janelle also opened up about her hopes for her boys. I want them to grow up knowing they're loved unconditionally. I want them to see me as someone strong, resilient, and kind. Most of all, I want them to live lives free of judgment and full of opportunity. Over the years, Janelle has evolved from a teenage mother into a woman navigating life's complexities with increasing maturity. She reflected on how fame has shaped her identity and what she wants her legacy to be. I used to think being famous meant having money, influence, and 1 million followers. Now I realize it's more about impact, she said. I want to be remembered as someone who turned her life around, who stood up after falling, and who never gave up even when the world told her to. She also touched on the double standards often placed on female reality stars. Men get second chances all the time. Women, we're expected to apologize forever. I'm done apologizing for being human. As someone who got pregnant at 18, Janelle offered heartfelt advice to young mothers navigating similar paths. Don't let anyone tell you you're not enough, she said. You're going to make mistakes, that's part of being human. But every mistake is a lesson, and every lesson makes you stronger. She encouraged young moms to seek help when needed and to never feel ashamed of asking for support. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not drag you down. And remember, you are capable of more than you think. When asked about her vision for the next 5 years, Janelle smiled confidently. I see myself happy, peaceful, and surrounded by people who truly love me. I see my kids thriving, my business is growing, and maybe even a new love in my life. But most of all, I see a version of myself that I'm finally proud of. She concluded the interview with a powerful message. Life doesn't come with guarantees, but it does come with choices. I choose growth. I choose healing. I choose happiness. Janelle Evans may have risen to fame through Teen Mom 2, but she's proving that her story isn't defined by one label or title.